I think it's fair to say the death of Chadwick Boseman took us all by surprise. On August 28th, this message was released on his Twitter. It's with immeasurable grief that we confirm the passing of Chadwick Boseman. Chadwick was diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer in 2016 and battled with it these last 4 years as it progressed to stage 4. A true fighter, Chadwick persevered through it all and brought you many of the films you have come to love so much, from Marshall to Da 5 Bloods, August Wilson's Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, and several more. All were filmed during and between countless surgeries and chemotherapy. It was the honor of his career to bring King T'Challa to life in Black Panther. He died in his home with his wife and family by his side. The family thanks you for your love and prayers and ask that you continue to respect their privacy during this difficult time. Chadwick Boseman was 43 years old, and he started his cancer treatment about a year before the premiere of Black Panther. At the time, Boseman was filming scenes for the 2017 film Marshall, in which he played Supreme Court Justice Thurgood Marshall. To be honest, it's absolutely astonishing how much work he accomplished during that time that he was receiving treatment. Now, before we get too much further, I'd like to ask you a question. In your opinion, where should the Black Panther franchise go from here? It's a question I'll discuss again at the end of the video, but I thought I'd give you all a head start in the comments section below. Follow-up question, how does the MCU move forward while maintaining respect for Chadwick Boseman's death? You know, Boseman had been acting since the early 2000s, taking part on television shows like Law & Order, CIS, ER, and even, I love this, the daytime soap opera All My Children.
I'll cut her, I will.
No, you won't. You won't.
Yes, I will. I don't want to, but I will. I gotta get out of here. Nobody trying to stop me.
His first starring role was in the 2013 film 42. In the film, Boseman portrays baseball legend Jackie Robinson, overcoming discrimination and prejudice to become the first African-American professional baseball player. More than 24 actors were considered for this role. Producers really liked his audition, but it was Robinson's widow, Rachel Robinson, that really had some incredible things to say about Boseman's performance. She said it was like seeing Jackie all over again. The following year, Chadwick Boseman would portray the godfather of soul on the big screen. In the film Get On Up, audiences got to experience the life of one of the 20th century's most influential figures, James Brown. It's absolutely astonishing to consider that during Boseman's career, he would play Jackie Robinson, James Brown, Thurgood Marshall, and let's not forget a certain African king from the pages of Marvel Comics. Now, let's travel back to October of 2014. That's when Kevin Feige made the announcement that Chadwick Boseman had been selected to play Prince T'Challa in the upcoming film Captain America: Civil War. Now, Black Panther was the first superhero of African descent in mainstream American comics. The leader of Wakanda first appeared in Fantastic Four number 52. Coincidentally, this was back in July of 1966, only a few months before the Black Panther Party was founded. The character was created by comic book legends Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. The best way I can describe T'Challa is that he's pretty much like Batman, except, faster, smarter, richer, and, of course, he's black. The creation of Black Panther, though, wasn't meant to be political. Stan Lee said in an interview that he noticed that there weren't any black heroes in comic books at the time, and his goal was to create something exciting, different, and new. My first exposure to the character was in Fantastic Four Unlimited #1 back in 1992. In the issue, the Black Panther teams up with Reed Richards and the gang to defeat his nemesis, Ulysses Klaue. Now, my favorite part was actually the flashback that appeared at the end of the book. In it, we are introduced to T'Challa's grandfather, Chanda. Injured in the jungle of Wakanda, Chanda ate a certain heart-shaped herb. After receiving a vision from the Panther spirit, his strength and vigor is restored. He goes on to become the first Black Panther. That is, of course, until Marvel retconned that story in 2017 and introduced us to the prehistoric Black Panther that fought alongside the Avengers 1 million BC. The team also included the Norse god Odin, a caveman Ghost Rider, and Fan Fei, the first Iron Fist. The fact that there existed a Black Panther long before the dawn of recorded history really makes you appreciate the saying,
Wakanda forever!
When Phase 3 of the MCU was announced, comic book fans, like myself, discovered that we'd be experiencing some new heroes on the big screen for the first time. Out of these characters, I was most excited for Doctor Strange, to be honest. And while that movie was fun, Black Panther, that film was just epic. It was one of those films that kind of surpassed the limitations of the genre. Black Panther didn't just sell tickets and popcorn. It engaged audiences in a way that few superhero movies can. It kind of reminds me of the impact that Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight had on Hollywood back in 2008. Now, let me be totally transparent here. Black Panther is by no means my favorite MCU film. I'm still kind of partial to Winter Soldier, but personal bias aside, here is my list of 5 reasons Black Panther is still king of the MCU. When the Doctor Strange film was released, I was anticipating this psychedelic fantasy epic, reminiscent of all those amazing Steve Ditko illustrations from the comic book. But what we got was far more basic. It was essentially your typical comic book origin story, essentially a pseudo rehash of the Iron Man origin story, just with magic instead of science. And by the way, I still love this film. I love Doctor Strange. I'm just acknowledging where it fell short.
What's this, my mantra? It's the Wi-Fi password. We're not savages.
The brilliant part about Black Panther was they were essentially able to bypass much of that origin since the character was already introduced in Captain America Civil War. Film producers now had extra time for character development, epic action sequences, and some incredible world building. The scale of Black Panther was simply astonishing. One moment we're in Oakland, California, then all of a sudden we find ourselves transported to this fictional nation of Wakanda. It's the perfect blend of culture, nature, and technology. Wakanda owes its wealth to the rare alien metal known as VIBRANIUM. It can only be found in Wakanda. The metal has some incredible properties that the Wakandians use in much of their technology. It also makes Captain America's shield, by the way, so it's super tough.
Yes, I think it works.
Now, I have to admit that the city of Bernanzana is the best example of this Afro-futurism that we see throughout the film. Some people call the capital of Wakanda the Golden City or Africa's El Dorado.
They thought they could find it in South America, but it was in Africa the whole time. A technological marvel, all because it was built on a mound of the most valuable metal known to man.
In total, Wakanda is made up of 5 tribes. I personally dig the Jabari tribe, which isolated themselves in Wakanda's snowy mountains. Their leader, M'Baku, is all kinds of awesome.
You cannot talk! One more word, and I will feed you to my children. I'm kidding, we are vegetarians.
Another interesting location is the City of the Dead. It's also known as the Hall of the Kings. This necropolis is protected by the panther god Bast and is where people of Wakanda go to worship their ancestors. Altogether, Black Panther builds the kind of mythology in film that I would have loved to have seen in, say, the Thor movies. Heck, the God of Thunder had 3 films and 9 realms, but never really even came close to what we saw in Black Panther. We're talking about the kind of scale you might see in The Lord of the Rings, which is ironic since 2 of the actors in the film had starring roles in that franchise. All right, so get ready because I'm going to say something that could be controversial. Good musical scores in the MCU are in somewhat short supply. Now, before you get too angry at me, I will admit that the Avengers film score has kind of grown on me over time, and Guardians of the Galaxy is fine. It just gets completely eclipsed by the incredible pop music that plays throughout the film. Black Panther, on the other hand, that score is just another amazing element that helps to bring the audience into the world of Wakanda. It's wonderfully fast-paced at times, and at other times it has this amazing orchestral moments that kind of remind me of the 1980s comedy Coming to America. If you've seen that film, you'll know that's an absolute compliment. The Black Panther soundtrack is definitely one of those film scores that I would have no problem shuffling into my personal playlist. Another thing the MCU struggles with is really strong villains. And I'm not talking about muscle, I'm just talking about strength of character. Typically, they come off as either hokey or two-dimensional, which, you know, is to be expected since these are based off of comic book villains. But in Killmonger, we experience an intensity not found in any other Marvel film. While he's not as powerful as, say, Ultron or Hela, he's arguably more frightening. At times, actor Michael B. Jordan literally steals the show.
You know where I'm from? When black folks started revolutions, they never had the firepower or the resources to fight their oppressors. Where was Wakanda?
It's time they know the truth about us. We're warriors. The world's gonna start over, and this time we're on top.
All right, and here's a fun little fact you might enjoy. Did you know that Michael B. Jordan was on the television show All My Children as well? He actually took over the role of Reggie Montgomery from Chadwick Boseman when the actor left the show. You know, it's crazy to me. This daytime soap opera thing must be the perfect place for great actors to practice their craft.
So what happens to the little princess when she breaks into the school?
For your information, I spent the night in jail, okay?
Spent the night in jail, so you're street now, huh?
Oh, would I get props for holding scissors up to a pregnant woman's throat like you did?
Look, she doesn't have to be pregnant, all right? Oh, what's wrong? Am I scaring you? If that's what it is?
Even before its release, Black Panther was celebrated for its cast. In addition to Boseman and Jordan, we experienced performances from greats like Forrest Whitaker, John Connie, Angela Bassett, Martin Freeman, Lupita Nyong'o, Andy Serkis, and Denai Guerrera of Walking Dead fame. I especially enjoyed Letitia Wright's portrayal of Shuri, which was a lot of fun.
This corset is really uncomfortable. So could we all just wrap it up and go home?
Every actor involved seemed to shine, which is rare in any film, let alone a superhero movie. Of course, we have to admit, Chadwick Boseman really shined as the Wakandan prince. It's something that has left most fans wondering, how will they find another actor to film that role? And should they? As we've seen with Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans, maybe it might just be best to retire the character. Or maybe another character from the film should take up the mantle, like Nakia, Shuri, or Okoye. Could Killmonger be resurrected by the Panther god Bast in order to reclaim the role as the Black Panther in a story of redemption? Or maybe the franchise should just end with one perfect film. To that point, I should probably point out that Black Panther remains the highest reviewed film in the MCU among critics, certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes with a 96%, beating out films like Endgame and even the original Iron Man. And as I went into some detail earlier, it has earned that score based on its cinematic merit that should be celebrated in addition to the socio-political relevance it had for Black representation in film. In conclusion, I'd like to personally thank the late Chadwick Boseman for bringing Prince T'Challa to life. Watching you come out of that sling ring portal in Endgame still gives me goosebumps every time I watch the film. May you rest alongside your forefathers on the ancestral plane. I also want to thank all of you for checking out this very special episode of Details. Thank you so much for checking it out. If you like what you saw, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, throw me a like. It really goes a long way to helping us do videos just like this.
Should we bow? Yeah, he's a king.
Seems like I'm always thanking you for something.
What are you doing?
We don't do that here. So...